Good morning, Pura Vida. Welcome to this week's Dharma Talk. And thank you all, particularly several new people to join us this morning. Welcome to beautiful Bali Rica in beautiful Costa Rica. And welcome to all our friends on the internet. We will begin with an opening meditation guided by Lisa Virtue.
Thank you, Ruthie. All right. Let's just begin by closing our eyes and taking 3 long, deep, clearing breaths. Just arriving here in the pavilion or wherever you are at home, on your cushion, your chair, bringing your mind to focus in the present moment, choosing to be here now. And this morning we're just going to do a simple relaxation. And I'll guide you through your body to relax all the parts. So use your awareness like a flush of the purest, calmest, peaceful energy. So you can envision maybe that as a light coming down, starting at the crown of your head, and it flushes through you, and everything relaxes as your awareness alights on it. So coming down into your forehead, through the center of your brain, letting the creases on your forehead relax. And it cascades down to your eyebrows, your eyeballs and eye sockets, and the temples, and even in the back of your head, your entire scalp relaxing. Washing down into the sinuses and your nose and your cheeks, into your lips, your tongue and your jaw. Maybe even open your mouth and move your jaw a bit just to help that loosen. Feeling that wave cascade down into your neck. The entire interior of your throat, the front, the sides, and the back of your neck, releasing all the tension that they tend to hold. And cascading down to your shoulders, down into your arms, your biceps, your triceps, and the bone in your arms. Softening down into the elbows and the forearms. Loosening in the wrists, the palms, fingers, and the backs of your hands. Nothing to hold on to, no gripping, just calm release. We bring our awareness back up to the shoulders. Allow it to sink down our shoulder blades and our upper back. Feeling through the spine as we move forward into the chest. We come down the rib cage, the entire stomach and waist. Feeling that calmness descend into our lower abdomen and your lower back. You may even want to just wiggle a little to loosen that lower back. We tend to hold so much in. Feeling down the sides of your hips and into your pelvis. All that you're sitting on just relaxes, and that seat might feel softer, less hard as your muscles relax. And it pours down into your legs, through your bone, your hamstrings, your thighs. Tension dissolving. Your knees relaxing, free of carrying, free of their burdens for a time. Feeling that peace come down into the lower legs. Down into the ankles, your heels, the arch, the pads of your feet, and your toes. Entire feet. And now observing yourself as a whole, the whole being, relaxed, at ease, calm and peaceful. And we'll spend a few more moments in a silent meditation, just being present with our peacefulness. And if your mind wants to wander, just observe the in and out of your breath. If your attention is caught by the puppy, allow it just to be what it is and find that calm that is within the heart of you. And that radiates out to the world around. And whether the dog or any other noise settles or not, you can always find that peace in yourself at any time. As we slowly come back around, recognize that the conditions of the world need not dictate our own state. We have choice in that matter. We can always come back to our breath and find our calm. Slowly opening your eyes, bring our hands to our hearts. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Everybody's still upright. You get really relaxed with that. That's good. That's it. All right. Mark is giving the talk.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. So today we're going to dovetail a conversation that I had 2 weeks ago, because you did last week, 2 weeks ago, with a new conversation, something that we suggested 2 weeks ago. And that was the concept of many paths, one Dharma, or one Dharma, many paths. And so this is kind of an introduction into that. And we're going to keep it very, very simple, very, very light, but hopefully we're going to go very, very deeply with it, which means that there's a lot of opportunity for each one of us, no matter where we are, where we feel we are in our path, to really explore something that we hadn't maybe considered. Or if we did, maybe revisiting it again. Okay? Okay, everybody's still a little light from Lisa's meditation, which is excellent.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. One of the things we as humans are here to do, in fact, it's the main thing, is to live a good life. That's kind of a little bit different, though. I mean, what's good for you, and what's good for me, it's a personal thing. So what we try to do is we're trying to live a life of meaningful purpose. And how do we know that? Well, we know that if we're going through our life and we're generally happy, we generally feel things come to us. You know, we put a little effort in, we get something back. There's this exchange, that everything is probably going well. We know that if we are really struggling or really fighting or being at odds regularly, then perhaps we're not on our path, or we have some exalted destination that we're really struggling to achieve. Is that fair? Everyone's kind of in agreement with that? Okay. So the Dharma is just a statement. No, it's just saying, this is how I choose to live. This is the way I'd like to live. It is not beholden to any one particular teaching. We hear the words of the Dharma in many different, we hear it in business, we hear it in religions, we hear it in politics. There are examples of it everywhere.
It's an umbrella word.
An umbrella word.
It has, I think, 18 definitions in the dictionary. And of course, we're using it as the teachings of the Buddha, and that encompasses all teachings of all belief systems and faiths and what have you. But we're coming from that one position. So it's
So while you're just sitting in your soft, gentle place, and you're listening to all that's going on around us, your relationship with what I'm sharing, what you're hearing in the peripheral, what you're hearing in here, and how you're feeling. When you are responsible for your own happiness, the Dharma is very easy. It's very simple. It means that if I'm going in a direction where I feel supported, appreciated, and my life is generally flowing effortlessly, I'm on path. Or if you're a dog and you're
crying about.
But you know, here's a perfect example. If we can, just with Harley for a moment, here's a perfect example. Harley really wants to be with us. He really wants to share. And from his perspective, he wants to be loving and kind and engaging with all of us. But he has a disruptive personality at this point. And because he has a disruptive personality, he's been invited to be somewhere else. Not invited, he was told to be somewhere else. And he doesn't understand it, and it's not making him happy. From his perspective, something's wrong, but he doesn't know what it is.
He's suffering.
He is suffering. And for all of us, it's very obvious to why his suffering is occurring. He's giving us a beautiful example here, which is the great segue into what I feel, into what I'm about to suggest, and that is when we can look after our own Dharma, when we can look after our own path, the Camino Rojo or Red Road, when we can do those things, we're okay. But one,
That's part of the Dharma. It's good.
It wasn't me. It's all right. I'm dangerous.
You're dangerous.
I'm too dangerous.
the problem becomes when we put our love and our appreciation into the happiness of others. I want the people that I love to be happy. I want them to have a full life, and I want them to be able to enjoy the happiness that I feel. I have now bonded myself. My happiness is now conditional upon their happiness. And I'm now stuck in a state of suffering because there's no way I can make somebody else happy. I'm stuck. I love Lisa. Lisa's an amazing person. There are things that she does that are absolutely exceptional, and there's some things, according to my opinion, that may need some polishing.
Do not say
Slow down, Mark.
Do not say but.
However,
Any other way, you just are running yourself into this pit.
as a Canadian, I do understand the term thin ice. And it's always very cold when you break through this. But that said, I can't make Lisa happy. I can't. It's just not possible. So I have to let Lisa live her life to do the things that she feels that brings her happiness.
But you don't have any excuse for making her unhappy either.
I have my responsibilities. I can see where I do things that upset her or she may feel are unkind, and I have a choice then to where does this fit within me? Just like Harley is making decisions and he's upset by his decisions, and I will have the same reaction with Lisa. If I continue to do something that does not make her happy, I'm going to have the repercussion and it's going to affect my happiness. So I have a choice to make at that particular point, which is number 3, the choice in the Noble Truths. So I've set the energetic and visual stage. 84 paths to enlightenment. Why 84 paths? So that every single person can find the Dharma, every person can find that peace. And thank you.
Who is it? Thank you, Steve.
You can sit.
There's a little line there.
There I go. You gotta watch out for me.
We're going to get you a sippy cup.
That's what I need.
Yeah, but I thought about bringing it.
Sorry about that.
No worries, we're good. What happens when we extend our happiness to somebody else? A parent, a child, a partner, a friend. And how do we convey in a way that doesn't seem judgmental? If I go up to somebody and I say, the reason you're unhappy is because you keep doing the same things over and over again. I don't know why you can't see that. They're probably not going to be my friend for much longer. Yeah, I'm just poking a wound. So how do I convey a message that it can be well received? And I feel, again, we're looping back into the Dharma, which is the paths here. That if I can free myself of my own suffering, if I can recognize that any of my discomfort that I'm creating is happening because of my choices, and if I make better choices, chances are I'm going to free myself of any suffering. And then once I know that, I maintain an 8-fold path, which is all listed right here, to help me fine-tune my direction and my path. I'm likely going to be in a place where that other person, that person I care about, is going to see through my actions a way to resolve their own suffering, that they can get out of that cyclical nature. I said I was going to dovetail it, and this is where I start to dovetail it to the week 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I suggested a few things. The first thing I suggested was about the fortress, that what I do, my role when I'm working with other people and supporting them to find an inner peace, is I stand outside of their fortress, and I know just how far their archers are going to send their arrows out, and I stand about 1 foot beyond that, so it lands not even at my feet, just 1 foot ahead of me. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait, till the person gets so curious that they walk out of this incredible fortress that they've built, and they walk out and they come to me and they go, "What are you doing?" And it's like, "Well, I want to talk to you. You invited me. I came to talk to you. Well, why don't you come to my fortress?" And it's like, why would I? All I have to do is say one thing wrong, and I'm in a great deal of hurt. But I can wait here, and you can meet me. And eventually, the person says, "You know what? Come on in. I'll walk you into the fortress." The archers put down their bows and arrows. They put the fires out in the boiling oil, and the catapults are loosened, and everybody takes a break, and we walk in and we have a cup of tea. And that makes sense to us when I describe it that way, because for every single one of us, we know somebody in our life that it is very difficult and dangerous to talk to them. They have emotional wounds. Talking to them is like walking on eggshells. We know.
Welcome to Thanksgiving dinner with the
Yeah, that was a timely point, wasn't it?
There you
So
go.
we know that there are these people there. We know that they're so high strung, just the drop of something is going to set them off. If we can do that in a state of grace and peace, then it doesn't matter what they do. We just stand outside of their archers, and eventually they will calm down. But what if we feel we need to defend ourselves? What if I have a boundary? I say, "You know what? That's all fine for you, uncle or aunt or parent or whatever, that you have that thing. But I need a healthy boundary. You have blown through my energy field. You've blown through my consciousness. You verbally make me feel uncomfortable. I need a healthy boundary." And not only that, but I notice that this healthy boundary that I am now putting up, this wall that I'm putting up, I'm noticing that there are other people out in the world that are also doing the same thing to me. And because they're doing the same thing to me, I have a right to my boundary. I'm going to put a wall up to them as well. And all of a sudden, these people, and I'm going to put up a wall over there, and I'm going to put up a wall over there. And just in case their archers are good enough that they're going to lob those, I'm going to put a roof over top.
So you just made your own fortress.
I've just made my own fortress. I am now the one who has the archers, who has the catapults, the moat, and everything else. And I'm sitting in the darkness of my own walls. I've now become that person that I was trying to get to before, but I've become that person I haven't met with. And I feel this is where the 84,000 paths starts. This is where the Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha, meets us by recognizing very, very simply in the very beginning that we're only here to really have a meaningful life, a purpose. And for most of us, we're going to put that meaningful purpose or that meaningful life in relationship. Relationship with my parents, relationship with children, relationship with my partner. But how do you do it? Especially when Lisa may have an off day. My daughter might be having an off day. My mother might be having an off day. My father, who's dead, is probably having an off day. Well, he's probably having an amazing day.
Yeah.
But if I'm tied to that, how do I have my meaningful life knowing that what I'm trying to do is express myself out into the world? I'm trying to have relationships with others and yet not have their relationships affect me, and certainly not to have their relationships affect me in such a way that I disconnect myself completely from the entire world.
I know what Jeff would say.
I look forward to it.
Detached involvement as a
Mhm.
psychologist.
Agreed.
You're
But-
connected to your relatives. There's no way you can escape that. That's part of your life. But you do not take personally things that you observe and analyze is their problem, not yours.
Hmm.
Right?
Agreed.
In other words, so,
But attachment for a
That's-
lot of people, Ruthie, isn't that them putting up the wall? Detachment for, this is one of the things that Jeff was
Well,
suggesting, that putting
right.
up the boundary may
Right.
not be the act. That's not what he was fully meaning by detached. But
Mhm.
when you're unresourceful,
But stand back, don't take it personally. That's who that person is,
But doesn't that involve putting up a wall in a way?
that's
That's what-
that,
yeah.
this is the
That's
loop.
right.
Yeah.
This is
Then
the
you
loop that
move-
we're
this
trying
is
to.
the- This is the loop he's referring to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just was running it through our other partner.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
The key of it is if I'm resourceful, if I'm full of clarity, I know that my extended family that I'm sitting down to Thanksgiving dinner with they're going to have their issues, they're going to have the things, and you know what? This has been going on for decades. This is nothing new, and I know that I am not the cause of it, because if you take me out of the equation, that is still going to occur. And to put me in the equation, it's still going to occur. It's just my relationship with it. And if I can hold my center, no problems. But what happens when you can't hold your center? What happens when you
Suffer.
feel exposed or vulnerable?
You suffer.
You suffer. And you get drawn into the drama. This is where the defensive walls come up, because you're like, I am unresourceful. I'm incapable of defending myself. I'm incapable of keeping all of these other things away from me right now. I have a choice. I can either suffer quietly. I can put out a wall, or I can send out a message, back off, or I can leave. But it was my purpose. The meaning of my life was to be with these people that I care about. And so now I'm confused. The 84,000 paths go through, as I said, many different things, through politics, through business, through religions. But I'd like to break it down to something even simpler than all of that. And I feel what the core of the Dharma, the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path are coming to. And it's actually about vulnerability. I looked up vulnerability in quite a few online dictionaries, and most of the definitions of vulnerability are to be at risk. But that's not the spiritual term of vulnerability. Vulnerability is the need not to react, not to defend. Because the minute, like I was saying before, and I'll come back to it, but the minute I put up a wall, the minute I put up an archer on the wall, the minute I put a moat around it with a drawbridge, the minute I start putting all of these things in because I need to protect me, I am no longer vulnerable, and I am actually one of those people sitting at the table that somebody else is going to be afraid or nervous of.
Mhm.
That they're going to be walking on eggshells towards me. And so when I'm talking about spiritually vulnerable, what I'm asking us to consider is walking outside it, or just removing all of those walls and sitting quietly and appreciating that the meaning of my life is to connect. On a personal level, I'm doing that right now. On a personal level, there are some 17 people here listening to me talk about my belief of the Dharma, my belief of life, and something that is very simple. I'm trying to express it in such a way that hopefully somebody is going to say, that made a lot of sense to me, explain more, or that helped me, or I have questions about what you want to talk about. I had to be prepared to be here. And I know that you are all incredibly intelligent people. I respect that in every single one of you. So I know that every single one of you are listening to what I'm saying. You're thinking about what I'm talking about, and you're forming an opinions and decisions based on what that is. And I have no control over that. None. Yet here I sit. And yes, I will be tying this all in together. The Dharma is about living our life purposefully. In case we get off track, things aren't flowing the way that we anticipated, we have 8 little check boxes. Am I living my divine livelihood? Yeah, you know what? I offer my services. Somebody says thank you. They give me something in return. Could be a chicken, could be $10 million, whatever it is. Okay, I seem to be okay there. Am I meditating enough? Maybe I'm not meditating enough. I haven't taken myself out of the situation and calmed. Okay, I can do that. But the real reason I'm taking these 8-fold paths and I'm imbuing them into my life is because I would like to be free of suffering. No matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing. And if I can do that, then perhaps I can talk to each one of you in a way that you can hear me. Perhaps I can share something in a way that you can bring an insight to me. And maybe if we can find peace within ourselves, a puppy sitting in a house will just go to sleep and be quiet. Because maybe it's not really missing out on anything. Maybe it's just feeling everything. 84,000 paths is the ability to reach everybody, not in a dogma sense, not in a rigidity, not in the sense that you have to do this or the drawbridge doesn't come down. Very simply, I feel what we're talking about in the Dharma and the teachings of the Buddha is to let go of all of that and sit comfortably on a cushion, on a root, on a stone, and be vulnerable. With everything we've been talking about in the many years that we've been coming here and having these conversations, and Ruthie has been imparting this to us quite regularly. She is bringing some incredibly beautiful teachings. She's bringing examples throughout the 2,600 years that the Buddha has been offering. And then the other people that have woven into those teachings and said, aha, you know what? I looked at that and I feel that this is the way I would explain what the Buddha was talking. And we go, yes, isn't that fascinating? That's interesting. And all of these conversations. And when we take all of that information, we still boil it down or take it down to one simple truth. And I'm waiting, maybe somebody would like to share with me what that simple truth is. Like, oh no, you weren't going to ask questions. You were supposed to tell me. But I'm putting it out there. Is there anybody who feels that they know what that simple truth is?
You've been talking about vulnerability. I don't know if that's it, but it's a hard thing to embrace.
It is. How does vulnerability feel for you? Like it's fine for me to suggest it, but how do you feel about it?
Feel about it?
Can you be vulnerable?
I'm going from a headset of running a large company, being responsible for so many people.
I'm sorry, can you
You have to speak up much.
Sorry. I'm going from running a big company, being responsible for a lot of people, and I couldn't be vulnerable in that situation. I didn't feel like, you can change that.
You've already
I
shifted.
didn't feel like I could be vulnerable in that situation and get enough done that's gone. That's gone. And now truly is the time for me to figure this out. But boy, it's a little dicey sometimes. It's just new to me in some ways.
At some point, I'd like to share a conversation with you. Maybe we can just sit and have a chat. Because there is a working model of management that totally makes sense from the teachings of the Buddha. And when we deliver that message, and it comes very simply from this, it doesn't matter what our role is, whether we're middle management, working in the mail room, or the top echelons at the CEO or the board of directors. We're still coming back to that simple point that the organization, the company, is trying to express itself. What is the easiest way to express itself? And if we can have situations where our management and those key employees have the same vision, it should just occur, shouldn't it?
I think vulnerability takes, I can explain this the right way.
You're talking about vulnerability that allows you to be wounded.
Yes.
Let me tell you a story. If it's okay with you.
Absolutely.
We've told this story before. Anyone who knows about the night of the Buddha's enlightenment, how he became invulnerable. Mara, who was the demon god, said, "You can't be enlightened." And so he put out everything that would happen that would break through to the Buddha. And the Buddha just sat. And finally he said, "Well, I've tried everything else. I'm just going to kill you." And the Buddha didn't respond. So Mara brought forth battalions of archers. And they got their bows and arrows at the ready. And they pulled their bows back. The Buddha did nothing. They let the arrows fly. And he's just been talking about that boundary. When they hit the Buddha space, those arrows fell to the ground as flowers. His love made him invulnerable. They could not break through his own solid state of enlightenment that didn't give power to anybody else. His power of love, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity were enough that he was impervious to this other guy's suffering as a wound to himself. He felt compassion, sorry about that, for that person. So I think the word you're looking for is love.
Oh, ultimately, yes, thank you. We're going to definitely come back to
Yeah,
love.
that's bad.
And I feel you
Sorry
were right
about
with
that,
the word
folks.
with vulnerability. Absolutely, I'm talking about vulnerability. And again, thank you for sharing that. What Mara was doing, wasn't Mara the person who is going to be sitting at Thanksgiving table
That's
somewhere
what
in
I'm
North
If I
America?
hadn't choked, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
All of these people that you think are, trying to wound you, if you are certain within yourself of your of the amount of your compassion and love, what was that?
Hello,
bird.
Hello, birdie. Yeah. In other words, you have become invulnerable. They can't hurt you. You don't take it personally. You feel for them, and you don't give them your power. I don't know if I can say
I
that.
think as
No.
well, as you're talking about the arrows falling as flowers, I see that as well as it's actually a gift. And I think, as I was saying the other day, being in some kind of conflict, that is a gift to you to see yourself more truly, to see what is it in you that's a little button that's being pushed, and to, in a way, bless them for helping you to see that in yourself. And so it's not really about them, it's about recognizing there's just something within you that you'd like to shift.
There's a story, it's a Christian-based story, and it was told a lot through it's told in one particular part of the year where they get this person to go into a department store, and he's going to be the representative of this particular festivity. And what I'm talking about is the miracle on 34th Street or 54th Street. And the first thing he does is he starts sending everybody to everybody else's store. Like he said, oh, we have those skates, but the skates that you really want, you need to go to that store and purchase them there. And of course, upper management hits the roof. Like, what are you doing? Until they notice that more people end up coming into the store. They end up purchasing more things. And what do? They embrace this. What we need to do is we need to run with this. We have to have everybody's flyers, everybody's magazines, and we want to make sure that and what they end up doing is they end up upgrading their own products to meet the needs of the people that are coming into the store, all by giving away and being vulnerable.
There's a wonderful picture during the years of Vietnam of the young Chinese man holding the flower in front of the tank on Tiananmen Square. And he stopped the army. That he held off a massacre in Tiananmen Square by having the courage to walk out and hold that flower, and the tank stopped. So this isn't just imaginary. I think one of the moments that really made me actually feel compassion was I had a relative, a very close relative, very bitter, very angry, always saying things to belittle or demean or humiliate or what have you, and very unpleasant. And I took it very personally until somewhere quite elderly already, I suddenly realized how she must feel inside to be that mean. How much misery there must be inside of her to have to throw this out on everybody. And instead of my feeling hurt and wounded and angry and all that, I all of a sudden really felt a tremendous amount of actual compassion and love for this person. I couldn't help her. There wasn't anything I could do, but she couldn't hurt me anymore because I now saw how wounded she was, trying to wound me.
And your happiness wasn't based on her happiness.
That's right. Well, you couldn't make her. You couldn't make her happy.
Exactly. You can't make anyone happy.
but yeah, it's that turning around. It's a shift in perception. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah, Brad. Sir.
Thank you. I was just
And again, loudly, please, Brad.
listening to that. I would make the suggestion when you said there's nothing you could do to help her.
Mhm.
I feel like by putting yourself in the frame of mind of not allowing her to hurt you, actually helped her.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're right.
But you're not
that's a
doing
good
it for
observation.
her.
No, you're not doing it for her.
So you're not
No.
actually doing something to help her. You're actually holding your center, and
so-
she has a choice whether she wants to embrace it. Yeah.
Well, it
it's
helped in the sense that it didn't enable her to keep
Exactly.
taking whatever it was she got
She's
from
gonna
this
notice
ability to hurt
This
people.
change.
Absolutely
She's not
agree.
hurting somebody now, and this is different.
And what I'm suggesting, Brad, is it's the intention at this point. Am I holding this center because I want her to be happy or change? That-
No,
Exactly.
no, absolutely not.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. The minute you remain in that center, and that's where the resourcefulness comes from. And I said I would come back to it. How do you become resourceful? It's fine for me to talk about all of this. Somebody said a little while ago, it's fine for you to say that, but how do you do it? And it was a really good question. It was poignant. And I would very simply just point to behind me, and I say that there are 8 things right behind us that remind us how to do it. Right thought, right action, right meditation. Just taking each one of those 8 items and seeing yourself in each one of them. Where am I? When I look at number 4, whatever number 4 is, right work or action, when I see myself in that, am I in the Buddha nature? Or even take Buddha out of it. Am I in a state of Dharma as I'm working? In my meditation, what is the point of my, because I can't stop these thoughts. That's not Buddha nature. Sitting quietly with the thoughts to such a point that your breath softens and you become quiet, and the messages that you're receiving are not harmful. They become supportive. You're not trying to find answers, you're being offered answers. Oh, so it's just a case of sitting quietly. I don't have time to sit quietly. I've got too many things to do. The phone is ringing. I've got emails to answer. And yet we're creating more work for ourselves because we're not actually in a calm place. And so I take myself and I close the door. I've done this with CEOs. I told them just to close the door, take the phone off the hook, turn off the computer screen, and sit. I challenge you to sit for 15 minutes and not do anything. I could never do that. That's impossible. You know what would happen if that? I challenge you. I dare you to do it. It became a regular practice, and they moved it to half an hour twice a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon. Why? Because he was a big follower of MLK, Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
And Martin Luther King there said, what is your daily practice? And he says, I meditate, pray for an hour every single day. And they said, what about the days when everything goes crazy? On those days, I meditate and pray for 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's the guidance. It's that resourcefulness that we develop from within ourselves that helps us to find the compassion that Ruthie so eloquently praised, the compassion and the understanding that we can have for someone else. It is us taking down our own fortresses and sitting quietly in an open field and waiting. Why? Because we want to live a meaningful life. We want to interact and share with other people. What are we doing for time?
In terms of the Dharma itself, as the teachings of the Buddha, Buddhism is unique in one respect. Darn, I'm so sorry, everybody. All genuine spiritual paths lead to one unity, that there is a universe. There is one, for some people they call it God. For the Buddhists they call it Buddha nature. But the one thing that's a little different about Buddhism itself from other religions is that it is absolutely no us versus them. Everything that the Buddha teaches is universal and applicable to all people anywhere. And one of the reasons it has been able to just quietly do its thing from the southern tip of India all the way to Greece for 2,600 years is that it is universal. And perhaps there is no better ambassador of interfaith than the Dalai Lama right now, along with people like Desmond Tutu, and before that, Gandhi and Martin Luther, and the rest of them. And there is a universality about all of them, because no matter how you arrive at this unity, this oneness, that's where you come together. We have that poem we love by Rumi, and it starts off, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Out beyond all the concepts of all the institutions, and it's, they're bad because they're this or they're good because they're that. Out beyond all those concepts, there comes, in a genuine spiritual tradition, a oneness. And that's really what the Dharma is all about. And that's why many paths, you can get to this universal oneness, no matter what affiliations you might take, nationalities or educational institutions or religious practices or what have you. Ultimately, it all comes to one. And that's that, but that the one that most produces that or emphasizes that is Buddhism.
And to that point, there is one word that can remove us from all of that very easily, very subtly, and it's comparison. The minute I compare myself to somebody else or to a group of people, whether I feel I'm exalted and magnificent, or whether I feel they're exalted and magnificent, that if I can transmute all of that and leave it very simply as they are people that are living a very meaningful life to the very best of their ability. And sometimes they're incredibly masterful, and other times there are areas that are still under development or maybe even just need some polishing, just like me. Just like me.
Again, the Dalai Lama is always saying, peel off the label. Just, the label doesn't matter. And we don't practice or identify as Buddhists. The teachings are not to make you change. It's to make you a better, maybe whatever you are. That's just to take what it offers and then be it for us.
Actually, can I change better to living a more meaningful life in a way that we can understand it?
Well,
Oh, there's that thin ice again.
there's what?
There's that thin ice again.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I don't know. Many of us here know a fellow named Brian Flanagan.
Oh,
You know Brian? Well, his wife Judy was a very good friend, I think, to all of us. And Brian was too. And after Judy passed away, he and I frequently, because he was alone and he didn't like being alone, if there was an invitation to a dinner party or something, we'd go together because I'd lost my husband, he'd lost his wife. And we were good friends. But he told me one time, this is sort of apropos of nothing, but it is. He said, someone said to him, there was going to be a party, and he said, "Oh, I'll bring Ruthie." He said, she leaned forward, got very conspiratorial. She said, "You do know she's a Buddhist, don't you?" Poor thing, that's so sad. You do know. So, Brian often would say, "I do know you're a Buddhist." There you go. Anyway.
Are there any questions?
Any answers?
Working on it.
I opened up many doors today deliberately. I opened them all up because we dance around these things at times, and we focus on something and it helps us to understand. But I feel in my rambling way today, what I was hoping to explain was there is a way to just be open and vulnerable and okay. And one of the places that we do that, thanks to Ruthie and of course Sharon and Mac and Jeff, of course, and Lisa, is to come to a place here where we can have these considerations, these discussions, and these mind-expanding thoughts, these abilities to explore something that is beyond the realm of normal conversation. It's not about a sports team or a political group or anything. It's a point where we can discuss the meaning of life. What is the true meaning of our life, and what is it that we're trying to do? And to do it with people that we call our Sangha, our community, and say, you know what, I feel safe discussing this. And if I have a question, I'm going to ask my question there because I feel I'm in a like-minded group that will be able to answer it for me, hopefully in a way that I can understand it and perceive it. And that's what today was really about. The 84,000 paths is us. The Dharma is singular, pure and clean. And who are we? Each one of us, myself, all of us, Ruthie, who are we when we embrace it, and how do we embrace it?
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
And you've opened the way for me to go into the third noble truth. We've done the first and the second. This is a wonderful bridge.
Mhm.
So next week, you can think about it, or during the week if you want to. The third noble truth is the cessation of suffering. Remember, the Buddha said, I came to teach but two things, suffering and the end of suffering. We've been covering the first two, and next week we're going to jump into the third noble truth, which is the end of suffering. And that's going to be a direct moving towards what you're talking about over there, what all of us feel, what we all deal with. And there's, for the first noble truth, gets capsulated or whatever into life is suffering, which is not really accurate. That's just a little headline. And the second one is the causes of suffering. The third little headline for the third noble truth little headline is pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And this is a very interesting door to open because unfortunately pain and suffering bleed into each other. And so you have to go back to the acknowledgement of the first noble truth and an understanding of the second noble truth to see how you can take those two things. Well, we'll get into it next week. But the final answer for the Buddha and for Jesus, and I suppose for many other spiritual leaders, including Martin Luther King and Gandhi, is a four-letter word, and it's love. So if that's the right time, we can
Perfect.
go ahead and do metta.
Absolutely.
And again, the four sublime homes, abodes, place that you live inside of yourself and from where you go out from and where you return to are loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. Very important, equanimity. So we here usually end our sessions with a loving kindness meditation. It can be done any number of ways. We just follow our own little format. And you're going to address 5 people. And you always begin with yourself. Because unless you feel it yourself and embrace it yourself, you really cannot fully give it to others. You can't give from an empty cup. So we work with ourselves and we move out from there. I'm going to say a phrase. Sorry about the sinus thing going. I'm going to say a phrase, and I want you to repeat it to yourself silently, bringing into your mind's eye the image of the person you're addressing. Feel what you're saying. Try your best to mean what you're saying, and actually feel it and mean it as you say. And it's very easy to get rote on these things, and you just say it, and it doesn't mean anything anymore. This time, try and make it meaningful. Now, the third wish mentions the word ease. The word ease means equanimity, poise, balance, internal stability. So, everybody ready? Anybody need to stretch? Okay. As if you were looking into a mirror, look at yourself, see yourself, smile to yourself, and say to yourself, may I be well. May no harm come to me. May I live with ease, calm and peaceful. May I be happy. Now bring to mind someone you love with all your heart. Someone you love very, very, very much. Look at that person, smile, say their name, and say to them, may you be well. May no harm come to you. May you live with ease, calm and peaceful. May you be happy. And now, smile, goodbye, and move to your neutral person. You may not know his or her name. In that case, just address them as friend. This is a person that you see, that you're familiar with. You recognize them. They recognize you, but you're really not close. It could be someone who waits on you or a neighbor whom you've never really met, but you see them on the road away. So bringing this person to mind, smile to them and say, dear friend, may you be well. May no harm come to you. May you live with ease, calm and peaceful. And may you be happy. And now, when you take another breath, and you bring to mind someone with whom you are in conflict. This is a person who doesn't like you, or maybe you don't like them. Whatever the reason, it could be a small grudge, it could be a really bad big one. But bring this person to mind, take a breath, and refuse to feel malice. Leonard Cohen has a song that has a line in it that says, when hatred with his package comes, I forbid delivery. So now you're going to be addressing someone with whom you are in conflict, and without any malice or ill will whatsoever, say to them, may you be well. May no harm come to you. May you live with ease, calm and peaceful. May you be happy. Take a minute with this one. Breathe it in, breathe it out. And know now we're going to go to embrace the entire universe and other universes, all sentient beings. So now we place our hands over our hearts, because this is the only symbolic place spacious enough to embrace everyone, everywhere. And as we think about some 8 billion people here and all those other worlds out there, you really can't really wrap your head around it, but you can wrap your heart around it. And so you say, may all sentient beings on this plane and all other planes be well. May all beings everywhere be safe. May all beings everywhere be free from suffering. May all beings everywhere be happy. Now, if you're at home, you can sit with this loving kindness meditation a long time. It's very powerful. And when you're ready, you relax your hands. And then we conclude with this little benediction from the Unitarian Church. And it goes this way. You can open your eyes if you wish. Go in peace. Go making peace. Living gently. Loving mightily. And bowing to the mysteries. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you.
Good to see you
Beautiful,
next
beautiful
week.
talk today. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Really needed that.
There we go. Ding.